We are now 21 years removed from the earth-shattering events of September the 11th. For many of those who watched in shock as the events unfolded on their screens at home, life would eventually adjust to a post-9/11 world. But the endless amount of stories of those with a much deeper connection to that day serve as a reminder of both the tragedy and the heroism that took place. Among those stories is that of Welles Crowther, an equities trader on the 104th floor of the World Trade Center South Tower. After United Airlines Flight 175 impacted the building, many of those above the point of impact would struggle to find a way down.
Smoke, right there, 105, 2 tower. All right, sit tight. We'll get to you as soon as we can.
I'm on the 83rd floor. I'm on the 83rd floor.
But through the fire and smoke on the 78th floor sky lobby, Welles would emerge to guide some of the only 18 survivors from above the point of impact to safety, and would become known to those who he saved and eventually the world as the man in the red bandana.
Good morning, America. I'm Charles Gibson.
I'm Diane Sawyer, and it's Tuesday, September 11th, 2001.
It is lunchtime in London, 5 a.m. in Los Angeles, and 8 a.m. here in New York, live from the CNN Financial News headquarters.
It is beautiful outside, perfect September day with lots of sunshine. Oh, would you look at Washington, huh? I'm going outside today.
Other than that, it's kind of quiet around the country. We like quiet. It's quiet. It's too quiet.
In the early morning of what was looking to be a beautiful September day, tens of thousands of New Yorkers would make their way to work at the World Trade Center in downtown Lower Manhattan, expecting a day like any other.
This is 1010 Wins. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good morning. 64 degrees at 8 o'clock. It's Tuesday, September 11th. I'm Lee Harris. Here's what's happening. It's primary day, and the polls are open in New York City. Voters are deciding among about...
One of them was 48-year-old tax auditor Ling Young. She had arrived to work early that morning, before 8 a.m., at her office on the 86th floor of the South Tower. At 8:46, she was talking to her boss by a window that was facing the North Tower.
Then all of a sudden he said, "Oh my God, the plane just went into the building." And I said, I'll turn around and looked at it. All we saw was things flying all over. You could hear it. You can actually hear the glass cracking, like the tingling crack on the glass. And we see papers all over the place, glass all over the place, and we actually felt the heat coming towards the window.
This just into our newsroom. A plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. Let's get this live update from 1010 Wins correspondent Joan Fleischer. Joan, what do you see?
Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. The CNN Center right now is just beginning to work on this story.
After American Airlines Flight 11 impacted the adjacent North Tower, Ling, along with most of her co-workers, headed to the corridor of their floor and took the local elevators down to the 78th floor sky lobby. The 78th floor served as a transfer point for local elevators going to the upper floors and express elevators going down to the lobby. Unknowingly, for some of those leaving the 86th floor and above, this decision would soon become the difference between life and death. As Ling and the hundreds of other people from the upper floors arrived to the 78th floor, an announcement played over the speakers, telling everyone in the South Tower to return to their offices, and that the problem was only in the North Tower. It was 9:02 a.m.
Shall we leave now or stay here on the 78th floor? I think that's what if I remember correctly, that's how we were deciding what to do. But before we even think about what to do, the plane hit. At that time, I didn't know it was a plane. It was an explosion. It was a loud explosion. Next thing you know, I went from one end to another.
Holy fuck!
Right now, you got people running up the street.
Okay.
I'll tell you what's going on.
Oh my goodness, there's another one.
Seems to be on purpose.
Oh my goodness.
The plane has just hit another building, flew right into the middle of it.
The explosion was United Airlines Flight 175, with 60 innocent people on board, ripping through floors 77 through 85 of the South Tower. Of the approximately 200 people who were in the sky lobby at the moment the second plane hit, only 12 would survive.
I couldn't see. Okay, I took off my glasses. My glass was all with blood, completely filled with blood. So I did remember that my glasses tend to come off, and if it comes off, I can't see, so I took it out very carefully. I happened to have an undershirt on. I wiped it. I cleaned it very carefully, and I put it back on, and I looked around. I see nothing but people laying down.
As Ling Young remained in place, suffering from third-degree burns all over her body, she suddenly heard a commanding voice. "I found the stairs. Follow me. Only help the ones you can help." The voice was 24-year-old Welles Crowther. After the South Tower was hit, Welles descended from his 104th floor Sandler O'Neill office, using the only stairway that was still intact. Unlike the impact of the North Tower, which completely destroyed all stairways within the impact zone, leaving those on the floors above with no way out, the impact to the South Tower left Stairwell A as a path to safety. Just before leaving the 104th floor, Welles would make one final phone call to his mother, Allison Crowther. The call wouldn't go through, and Welles left a voicemail.
Mom, this is Welles. I want you to know that I'm okay.
After directing Ling and the remaining survivors in the sky lobby to Stairwell A, Welles continued to carry a woman on his shoulders down to the 61st floor. It was at this point that rather than continuing down and out of the building, Welles would turn around, going back up to the 78th floor. Upon returning to the sky lobby, he would encounter another group of survivors, huddled by a broken window, struggling to breathe. This group would include Judy Wayne, Donna Spera, and Kelly Rayer, all who have publicly given their accounts of a mysterious man donning a red handkerchief. After Welles had found a fire extinguisher to put out some of the isolated fires on the floor, he would begin rendering first aid to those who needed it, and would begin shouting instructions to any remaining survivors, directing anyone who could walk to Stairwell A. As Donna Spera recalls, "I'm working there 7 years almost, and I never knew there was a doorway there. I never knew there was an exit sign there. He just yelled, here was the exit to go down the stairs." Once again, and for the final time, Welles would lead this group down nearly 20 floors, and was last seen heading back up to the sky lobby, this time with a group of firefighters.
Take 2 and 2, 1. This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
A billowing smoke rising, and I'll tell you that I can't see that second tower.
The entire building has just collapsed. Gigantic rumble closing in on itself in collapse.
There you see the twin towers. Both towers now have apparently collapsed.
The World Trade Center, the other tower of the World Trade Center has just collapsed. You are looking at live pictures of the second twin tower at the World Trade Center.
Of all of the 18 survivors from above the point of impact, Welles Crowther can be directly credited with saving at least 12 of them. And on March 19, 2002, his body was finally recovered, next to a group of firefighters and emergency personnel who had been operating the command center in the South Tower's lobby, along with a Hearst Jaws of Life tool. It is believed that he had managed to make it down to the lobby, where he planned on heading back up to assist in freeing people trapped by debris. The details of Wells's heroism would remain a mystery until May 26, 2002, when the New York Times published an article titled "Fighting to Live as the Towers Died," which highlighted the experiences of numerous survivors, including those from the 78th floor. For months following the attacks, Wells's mother would comb through all of the survivors' accounts that were coming out that she could, desperately hoping to hear anything regarding her son. Upon reading Ling Young and Judy Wayne's stories in the New York Times article, Allison Crowther instantly realized that this was it. She would eventually get in contact with both Wayne and Young, showing them photographs of her son, to which they confirmed that he was indeed the man who had saved them. Finally, the Crowthers would begin piecing together the puzzle, learning the details of Wells's heroic actions. Allison recalls the last time she had seen her son, just weeks before his final moments. She remembers him telling her how he had been feeling as if he were meant for something more than equities trading. And in the weeks after September 11th, Wells's father would find a half-completed application to the New York City Fire Department while clearing out his apartment. Today, the Red Bandana Project aims to keep the story and legacy of Welles Crowther alive by promoting academic and athletic programs for youth around the country and supporting other nonprofit organizations as well. For more information and on how to donate to the Red Bandana Project, I've left a link in the description below. Thank you guys for watching the video, and it was the first of many to come. The point of this channel is going to be just keeping the stories of September 11th and the 1993 World Trade Center bombing alive, and just continuing to teach these stories. There's an entire generation now of voting age adults who were not yet born on 9/11, and as much as it may seem like it was just yesterday for some of us, for others, it's history. So thanks again, and I hope to see you guys back for the next one.